Being a billionaire isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sure, it's nice to have all the luxuries that come with great personal wealth, but as the great and wise Michael Scott tells us, mo money, mo problem. Here's a list of 10 billionaires who went broke. Number 10. Aubrey McClendon. Aubrey McClendon made his fortune in the natural gas industry. He was part owner of the Oklahoma City Thunder, the founder of American Energy Partners, and co-founder of Chesapeake Energy. McClendon lost his fortune when he was indicted on charges of violating antitrust laws. McClendon was accused of orchestrating a conspiracy between two large energy companies that agreed not to bid against each other for the purchase of land in Oklahoma. Following the indictment, Aubrey denied all charges and was killed the following day when he drove his car into a bridge embankment after 88 miles per hour. The crash was ruled an accident. Number 9. Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth appeared to be one of America's most promising entrepreneurs when her company, Theranos, threatened to revolutionize blood testing. She hired big wigs in the tech industry and rounded up a healthy base of investors, which quickly rocketed Theranos, valued at $9 million. But it turns out all the promises were simply too good to be true, and the whole house of cards came tumbling down when fabricated claims and fraudulent blood test results were exposed. The value of the company hit zero, and Elizabeth is facing charges of fraud, and a trial set to begin in October of 2020. Number 8. J. Michael Pearson. J. Michael Pearson became the CEO of Valiant Pharmaceuticals shortly after beginning work as an outside consultant with the company. He eventually amassed $3 billion in stock before things took a turn for the worse. Valiant was intensely criticized for jacking up prices of life-saving drugs, which many people were already dependent upon. And in 2016, Pearson was removed from his position as the company's stock price plummeted. He's still worth $182 million. Not exactly broke, but a far cry from his former multi-billion-dollar fortune. Number 7. Yasumitsu Shigeta. Japanese billionaire Yasumitsu Shigeta was Japan's youngest self-made billionaire thanks to his mobile phone company. He was worth $42 billion in 1999 but saw a $40 billion loss over just a few months when the Japanese IT bubble burst. Shigeta has since stabilized and started to rebuild, but it's going to take a while to climb back to that sort of wealth. Number 6. Masayoshi Son. Masayoshi Son was another casualty of the Japanese IT bubble in the early 2000s. His fortune made in software and mobile networks tanked by jaw-dropping $70 billion. Number 5. Jocelyn Wildenstein. You may know of Jocelyn Wildenstein because of her obsession with cosmetic surgery, which left her looking like a cat, thus earning her the widespread nickname of Catwoman. Jocelyn became a billionaire the easy way by marrying a billionaire art dealer, Alec Wildenstein. But things got a bit rocky when Alec was caught in bed with a 19-year-old Russian model and then threatened his wife with a gun. This incident turned him a night in jail and earned Jocelyn her very own $2.5 billion, plus $100 million a year for 13 years following the 1999 divorce. In addition, she then sold the couple's home for $13 million, racking up a serious nest egg from the whole deal. There was one catch. The judge stipulated that she was not permitted to use any of the alimony payments from her ex-husband to do further cosmetic surgery. Jocelyn has been known as a socialite with an extremely extravagant lifestyle, but the estimated $500,000 a year spent on food and wine and another $60,000 on her phone bill really don't explain how she amazingly filed for bankruptcy in 2018, only 6 years after her $100 million a year alimony ended. She's not only broke, but claims to often ask friends and family for money to supplement her Social Security, which is Wildenstein's only source of income. There are rumors that the artwork which guaranteed her divorce settlement turned out to be forged, but this story is such a tangled web that we simply don't have time to mess with it today. But one thing is for sure, this Catwoman is maybe the best money spender that ever lived. Number 4. Mansa Musa. Musa was the 10th Mansa, what we might translate as emperor of the Mali Empire in the 1300s. As the ruler of an empire that produced half of the world's gold and salt at the time, you can imagine how wealthy this man was. He is widely considered the wealthiest person to live during the Middle Ages, amassing a fortune which would today total around $400 billion. but foreign invaders and civil war essentially wiped out every penny within 2 generations of Musa's reign. Number 3. Anil Ambani. More recently, the Indian businessman and billionaire Anil Ambani has fallen from his incredible wealth. He was named India's Businessman of the Year in 1997 and ran several successful ventures along with wealth inherited from his father. All this left Ambani worth several $billion and at one point the 6th richest person on the planet. But Mr. Ambani shocked the business world in 2020 when amidst a lawsuit with several creditors claimed that he was worth nothing. A large group of creditors were pursuing payment of 2012 loans given to Ambani's company, Reliance Communications, which they claim Anil personally guaranteed. Now that the company has gone bankrupt, they're expecting Ambani to dig into his own pockets to pay off the debt. But apparently, he's got nothing. What's more, Ambani nearly went to jail in 2019 when a court in Mumbai gave him 1 month to pay off his debt to a Swedish loaner. Eventually, his brother, who is extremely wealthy but not very friendly with Anil, bailed him out and paid the bill. Number 2. Bernie Madoff. And the king of all billionaires fallen from glory, Bernie Madoff. Bernie ran the ultimate Ponzi scheme in which he took the investor money, put it in the bank, and then used that very money to pay investors who wished to cash out, all the while lying to their faces about how successful the whole venture was through fabricated reports. He carried this scam for as long as 20 years and to the tune of nearly $65 billion. Eventually, the whole thing came crashing down when Madoff's sons reported the scheme to authorities. Bernie was sentenced to 150 years in prison. Several conspirators were also charged. The real tragedy was the number of well-meaning people who lost their life savings. Very little of the money has been recovered or paid back to the victims. Number 1. J.D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller was the richest American ever and one of the richest people to ever walk the planet. But the self-made oil magnate and philanthropist took a hit during the Great Depression of over $700 million. Adjusted for inflation, that's around $10 billion in today's money. Gone. Overnight. The fact that he remained the richest American ever even after his loss is simply stunning. So if you have any aspirations of making $1 billion, go for it. But just remember, you've been warned. That's all we have for you today, Behind the Screen fans. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. And until next time, I declare bankruptcy!
Bankruptcy!